I do not generally consider myself an angry person, especially when it comes to things that are not in my control, like watching hockey, like watching the Sceptres. I don't generally get angry at what I'm watching. I'll be confused, I'll be aghast, I'll be befuddled, I'll be heartbroken, I'll be any number of other emotions. But anger, generally speaking, isn't one of them. I don't like to come home and yell and scream. I'm not trying to be female Steve Dangle. Right? That's not my goal. With that being said, what the fuck was that? From the jump, there were some decisions I wasn't crazy about. There were some things that confused me. I really need Troy Ryan to get the concept of a starting goalie and a backup goalie out of his head immediately. You have two good goalies. You can use both of them. That's allowed. You can have a tandem. You know who runs a tandem? The team you played tonight. You know who runs a tandem? The team that's won the last two cups. Has truly been, like, statistically better than Kirk? Yeah, she's 3-0-0. But, like, they've both played well. Both goalies have kept you in games. Truly just played on the 27th. It's kind of Kirk's turn, if you will. She's more rested. She's a good goalie. She was, kind of took over the starting position last year when Campbell faltered. It's okay to run a tandem. Running a tandem is fine. I don't know why Troy Ryan is so insistent on having a starter and a backup. I wouldn't really put any of the losses on the goalies. Right? Would you? I wouldn't. But he's been saying all season that they're auditioning for the starting position. He's been running a tandem so far, basically. And he's saying they're auditioning for the starting position, and he seems to have given truly the starting position. I guess I haven't said the score yet. Sceptres lost 5-1 tonight at home to the hands of the Minnesota Frost. Monroe was still hurt. Fast was back in the lineup. Great to see. I don't know what specifically her injury was, but she's been day to day, and it's good to see her back in the lineup. Hopefully she can stay in the lineup this time. She kind of went in and out before. They also ran 7 defenders this game, which they haven't done this season yet, I believe. If they have, they've only done it once or twice. But most games they're running 13 forwards and 6 defenders. This game, they kept Fast in. They kept Baskin in from last game because she's still up on her 10-day SPA. And they scratched DeGeorge. Sure, fine. It kind of makes sense if Fast is coming right off an injury. She normally carries a lot of your minutes. Maybe you want to have an extra defender in there to carry some of the load so she's not having to do everything that she used to do and play 30 minutes a night. Would you like to guess how much time on ice Hannah Baskin had this game? I'll give you a moment. Take a guess. What was her time on ice? If you guessed 0 minutes and 0 seconds, you would be correct. That's just a waste. That's just a waste. There's a waste. If you want to have her up, if she's worth more than being a reserve, great opportunity to do it. Again, taking some weight off of Fast, good opportunity to do it. DeGeorge, when she was in the lineup, i.e. every game that isn't this one, she got some minutes. They weren't high, but she got some minutes as the 13th forward. Usually. Putting Baskin in the lineup and not having her set foot on the ice is a mind-boggling decision. Another thing that really baffled me this game, I haven't even gotten into gameplay yet, necessarily. Another thing that baffled me this game, the line I've been gushing over the past couple of games, that second line of Comfort, Turnbull, Zanin, the one that's been by far the most consistent, most reliable, and undoubtedly the best line they've had on their team. Well, good old Troy Ryan decided, if that's working so well, we had better change it ASAP. I don't know why he shuffled this. Why would you shuffle this? Right? I can't be alone in thinking this. Am I crazy? Why would you shuffle this? This line has been amazing. And he changed it so it's Turnbull, Comfer, Watts. Turnbull, Comfer seems to be a mainstay. It played a lot last year too. And then the other line of Maltese, Spooner, Watts previously is now Maltese, Spooner, Zanin. So they just flipped those wingers. Which leads me to believe he did it because he wanted to get Maltese and Spooner going. Which is fine. You have 7 other forwards to do that with, Troy! Why? This line didn't need to change. This line should have been left untouched. This is your best line. You should, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Once has been scoring, Spooner's been playing well, Maltese's been playing well, and guess what? Guess what their power play line was? Turnbull, Comfer, Zanin. Because that line is amazing. So I don't know why he changed that. That is the most mind-boggling decision I've ever seen. That's completely needless, it's completely unnecessary, and it's actively hurtful to your team, as we saw tonight. So now that we've prefaced the game, let's get into the actual gameplay itself. Toronto once again got into penalty trouble this game. The penalties have been killing them. The issue I have with the officiating this game, and Toronto fans don't exactly have a great reputation of being fair and reasonable to referees, and I get that. There were a few blatant penalties against Toronto this game that went uncalled, and it is baffling. Less than 3 minutes into the game, Maggie Connors took a tripping penalty. I think more so someone skated over her stick than she tripped somebody, but all the same consequence. So she winds up going to the box. Toronto's penalty kill looked pretty good. They looked pretty alright. So alright that they capped it off with a goal. I don't think it was technically a jailbreak goal because I think Connors had come out of the box like 5 or 10 seconds before. Like, it was barely not a jailbreak goal. Fast does good work in behind the net to get control of the puck. She throws it out front. It kind of bobbles off of a defending stick, and Watts manages to put it over the shoulder of Hensley. Great start! After a bit of a fumble to start the game immediately, you kill off a penalty, you get a goal. Bam! Great. Toronto scored a lot of first goals of the game this season. Really nice to see. Then the rest of the period happened. Like, a minute and a half later, Katie Knoll gets one by Chuli, evens the game up at 1-1. Okay, not ideal, not the worst thing in the world. The game is back to even. Toronto had a good bit of chances in the first. I will say Minnesota probably outplayed them in the first period, especially. About 6 or so minutes after Knoll's goal, Britta Curl from a real sharp angle puts one over the shoulder of Chuli up 2-1 the Frostar. Toronto did get a power play a little bit later, a minute or two later. They had some good pressure, they couldn't make anything of it. And the thing about this game that I noticed earlier, if you might recall in my reaction to their game against Boston that they lost, second game of the season, the thing was that they were overcomplicating. They kept making one extra pass or taking one extra step or doing one extra stick dangle that they didn't need to do. It was that, extra fraction of a second that slowed themselves down just enough for the opposing team to catch up to them. And that's the exact thing that happened this game. They weren't quick enough to fight against what Minnesota was doing, and Minnesota was able to outpace them. So then going into the second, which historically this season has been pretty they actually had a pretty good period. They came out swinging. They had a couple of really good chances, a couple of really good 2-on-1s, and I would love to say they got goalied. I really would. I mean, Hensley's no slouch. right? She won 2 cups for a reason. But there were a lot of chances on the one power play they got late in the first, throughout the second, where they kept getting so close and just not being able to polish it off. Couldn't get that last little finishing touch on a play to make it a goal. They had at least two, I'm pretty sure 3 2-on-1s this game. There were great chances. There was one between Zanin and Fast. It was a great chance, and Fast just couldn't quite get it past Hensley's blocker. There are a couple, again, credit to Hensley. Much credit to Hensley. She had a great night. She had a really good night. Hensley played lights out. I can't necessarily fault them for that, but at the same time, most goalies in this league are pretty darn good. It's not a big league. There's not a whole lot of room for a mid-lackluster kind of every third day goalie. Right? Each team carries 3. And there's 8 teams. Like, there's every goalie is good. And we saw early in the game, you can get one by her. She locked it down, but Toronto had so many opportunities. Even though they did eventually wind up outshooting Minnesota in this game, they had so many opportunities over the course that was just an inch or two shy. Or, again, taking that one extra step they didn't need to take. Making that one extra pass they didn't need to make. Van Weeren takes a hooking penalty. It was so odd that this one was called. Because the second period got rough. The second period got feisty. Right in around a little before halfway, just suddenly a splurge of a lot of hits, a lot of roughness, a lot of battering both ways, and the refs were letting a lot of it go. There was a point in the second period where Turnbull was breaking into the zone on a kind of a partial breakaway or partial 2-on-1, and she got tripped on the blue line by 2 separate members of the Frosts. She fell over and wound up sliding into the goalie and knocked the net off because she had a lot of momentum, and they just didn't feel like calling that one, I guess. But then they called this Van Weeren hooking penalty. Given the precedent that was set for the game, it was really strange. It was kind of a soft call. It can be hooking, yeah. Like, maybe by the letter of the law, you'll look at it, sure, that's hooking. But there were a lot of other things that happened during the second period before this was called. That's a trip. Yeah, that's a board. Yeah, that's a cross-check. That didn't go. So the fact that this is the one that broke through is just weird. And it wound up in a Minnesota power play. And that wound up in a goal from Grace Zumwinkle. Working the puck low. They got it up. They got it across into the high slot for Zumwinkle to take a one-timer. And Chuli just didn't really have a whole lot of chance on that one. The real one that hurt is with 4 seconds left. 6 seconds left, somewhere in there. Behind the net, coin whacking away at the puck, and it just dribbles in, leaks somehow between Chuli's skate and the post. A weird, unfortunate, strange bounce that Chuli would definitely like to have back. And you could tell after the goals were let in that she was pretty disappointed in herself. And then to go into the third, Kirk started in net. But again, Kirk probably should have been in there since the beginning. But anyway, the third, Toronto was able to have a lot of pressure. But again, it was a lot of the same story. Taking too many steps, too many passes, too many extra moments, missing the net, not being able to get sticks on a tip, not being able to get a rebound. And they had so many chances that were so close. This game could have been 3-1 at the end of the first. If they buried every chance they got. They had so many really close opportunities, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, and they didn't complete. They didn't capitalize. They got themselves into penalty trouble, and a few really strange coaching decisions to have Baskin on her bench and not play her at all, to have Chuli start in net, to break up your most consistent, most well producing line this season. The writing was on the wall immediately. Kendall Coyne did get an empty netter in the third to make it 5-1 instead of 4-1. Toronto yanked the goalie with 5 minutes left in the third. I mean, they were down by 3. The game maybe should have been closer if Toronto could capitalize on their chances. They outshot Minnesota in the end. They had loads of opportunities. They were so close a lot of the time. But close doesn't really mean anything, does it? That's it for tonight, I guess. Their next game is Saturday, which is going to be a pseudo home game. It's a takeover tour game, but they're playing in Hamilton. I'm pretty sure half of Toronto fans are from Hamilton anyway. I really hope Troy Ryan kind of figures his own stuff out. It was a needless shuffle that didn't need to happen. Go back to what works. Do what's functional. If you want to have 7 defenders, use them. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want more. Close doesn't mean much.